What is up, everybody? Happy Monday to you. I hope that your week is starting off good, and if it's not, I pray that it gets better. Whew, I tell you, this world is very interesting, and I think the more you kind of understand and dive into historical Bible truths, the more you understand the tides of the world today. And that saying goes, there's nothing new under the sun. And it's absolutely true. Many of the things that we see today, they're more elevated. Yeah, they're more prominent, right? But a lot of these things have existed well before our time. And even before the great flood of Noah's day, which was considered the first great reset of human history. God literally reset everything and started off with Noah. And I was making a point yesterday on X, and if you are not following me on X, you are welcome to Angie C313. But I was making a point that there was something very unique about Noah that was different than all the other people when he was born. And what was different about Noah was his complexion, right? The Bible almost describes him as him being albino. And that's a very important point to make during that we should zero in on during our studies of the Bible, because it really kind of gives you some context of the different complexions and colors of people in the world today. Before Noah, it is reasonable to believe that most people were the color of what would be the mixture of dirt and water, or clay, right? So they were more pigmented, they were more melanated, right? But when Noah was born, it scared his father because he did not have any pigment, which really means that Noah could have been either the first albino or first white individual or white looking individual in human history. Now, this is important because Noah took a wife that 9 times out of 10 looked like the people of those time, which were probably darker. So it is very reasonable to believe that when Noah had sons, Noah's sons came out of all different colors. You see different families, they got a light-skinned mom, dark-skinned dad. Some of them come out light-skinned, some of them come out dark-skinned, some of them look completely different complexions than both parents because they've taken back to a relative. So I believe that Noah's wife was darker complexion and that Noah's children were a combination of colors, right? And obviously, children were marrying children, right? Cousins were marrying cousins back then, right? And it still happens today because people like to keep lineage, ancestry, bloodlines in the family. But back then, and that's notable because as people are being identified by, their genetic markers and stuff like that, back then people were identified by their family name and the nation that they came from. So as Noah's sons went off and they built their nations, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? All these different people were branching out, right? So let's just say that Shem, for example, was one of the lighter sons, right? And his daughter and his wife, obviously, she was of the complexion of the people at the time too. And as they had kids, right? They kids came out, some of them probably came out light, some of them probably came out dark, some of them probably came out different tones, right? And then obviously they are marrying the daughters of their brothers, right? So that would mean that Japheth had a son or a daughter that was really light complexion, and Shem had a son who was of light complexion, and they got together, right? Now those kids could come out light or they could come out darker. I'm saying that to say that over the generations, right, it is very reasonable to believe that we all evolved from darker looking people originally. And So when you think about these constructs of race, which are absurd to me, because at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters, we just look different. It tells you how satanic and irrational racism really is. If people really understand the history of mankind, not just the history of people that look like them, they realize that we all come like from Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And if you were to look at kind of how they were dispersed out in the territories, you had Ham, who absolutely was in that area of Africa, Mediterranean for sure, and then you had one son that went into the Asia Minor area. And then you had the other son that went into the European area. And they created their nations in those areas. So let's just say that, the lighter son, he took his family and they created legacies, in the European area. And then maybe the more, not so lighter, but still light son went into the Asia Minor areas. And then let's just say Ham, maybe he was darker complexion. And when you look at the people in Africa, when you look at the people in like the Arabian type areas, they are melanated people. Some of them are really finely, richly melanated. Okay? So that just tells you guys that racism is irrational. Historically, we all come from the same people, but we all are different in our complexions and obviously our ancestry based off of obviously migration, immigration, one person going from one place to another. So let me know what you guys think. This is not a Black supremacy conversation. This is really the history of man conversation, because I feel like we've been manipulated about history ourselves, and even down to prehistoric times. I definitely challenge whether or not they are calling it prehistoric times when really the days of Noah's would be considered prehistory. And when you think about what was going on in the days of Noah, they didn't just have Nephilim. Noah lived during the times of the dinosaurs. And I think the reason why they suppressed the Nephilim fossils with the dinosaur fossils is because it would make the Bible story actually accurate. That there were beings on this earth that were not human and were not natural animals that existed, and they were threats to humanity. And the question is, how did they get created? And the Bible's account of angels coming down and not only having sex with the daughters of the land, they were having sex with the animals too. That bestiality came from the rebellious angels. They were attempting to create, which is a desire of the angels to create legacies, offspring, which is the one gift that he gave mankind and even the animals on earth that he did not give to the angels. And when you see these Greek mythology video, stories of he gave birth to this and they had birth to that, that is an illusion. That isn't a lie. Angels do not procreate. They don't give birth or have offspring to anything. So let me know what you guys think. Check out my Substack, because I've been just breaking down some concepts as I have opened my eyes to them in the Bible. I'm rereading the Bible just so that I can connect the dots and really understand the warnings and the messages that are being conveyed to humanity down to this day that we should take heed to. So you guys have a wonderful week, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.